Hello, welcome back to my haunted library. It's Regina. It feels really good to be back in my library as I was gone for a few days at Stokercon in Pittsburgh. Now, you wouldn't think going to Pittsburgh would be that big of a deal, but I actually really love the city. I got to do some sightseeing with my husband and we had a great time. That's about as exotic as I get these days, is going to Pittsburgh. But I've never really spent time in that city. Of course, it's in the same state that I live, but it's a 5-hour drive. So haven't spent much time in Pittsburgh. But I absolutely loved it. We took the subway, we went up on the bluff, I don't know what that's called, and got a great view of the city. We stayed at a lovely hotel. There was a Taylor Swift concert going on at the same time. So the city was just filled with, I think they're Swifties. I don't want to call them Taylor Swift fans. I want to use the correct term. I don't really know anything about Taylor Swift, but she has a lot of fans. I think she had two concerts in a huge stadium. So yeah, she's got a lot of fans. And there were tons of girls mostly, but I saw a couple guys dressed up in sparkles, and some of them had their moms with them and they were dressed up. So it was just like a fun, spirited feeling. On the last day of the conference, we kind of blew off the conference because I don't want to be sitting inside a dark hotel, it was lovely, but I wanted to get outside too. So on Sunday, we went to a really cool church, the Epiphany Church, I think it is, a Catholic church, a historic church, and it was very old school mass. It wasn't in Latin, but parts of it were the Latin mass, the hymns, lots and lots of incense. I really enjoyed that. So the whole experience was great. And then we went down to the Point Park, and there was a Juneteenth celebration going on with live jazz, and it was just a lot of fun. Tons and tons of fun. So, and the best part, besides spending time with Joe and doing some sightseeing, was getting to hang out with two of my favorite booktubers, Alex, the Bookubus, and Lydia from Typical Books. So along with two other gals who live in Europe, so they weren't able to attend, Harpies in the Trees and Marie McWilliams, we have been communicating with each other for years now. We've had Zoom meetings, we've had creepy cocktail parties, we've had a lot of fun together as friends and sharing messages. So it was amazing to actually meet two of these ladies in the flesh. Immediately, I felt right at home with them, like we're good friends, and we went out to dinner with our hubbies, and everyone got along great, and we were at the banquet together for the Stoker Awards presentation, and we sat through all the long speeches together and all of it. It was great. At the end of this video, and I know this video is going to be long, so I'm going to timestamp everything, I will have just like a mini reel of my Stokercon adventure. I did not take a lot of video or photos. I probably should have, but I was so absorbed in the experience that I just kind of forgot to take pictures. That happens sometimes, but I do have a few, and some video, and I'll put it together in a snazzy reel at the end. So if you want to know more about my Stokercon adventure, I do speak a bit about it on the latest Bookworms Horror podcast, which I hope you've been listening to. We just recorded one yesterday, so you can listen. I'll link it below. And what else? Oh, I'm going to go over some mail, a haul, what I've read, and a giveaway, and some other things. So let's start with the giveaway so I don't forget. So my very indulgent husband, Joe, went with me to Stokercon. He helped man my table. He pulled out his credit card more times than I can count. So I'm eternally grateful for him for that. And he is not a horror fan. He's a big sports fan. In fact, he didn't attend the banquet. He was watching his team play hockey, and I knew he was much happier doing that in the very comfortable hotel. But when you go to Stokercon, you get a nice tote bag and some goodies. So here's Joe's tote bag with all kinds of goodies inside. So I have my own tote bag, so I thought I would do a giveaway of Joe's tote bag because he will never look at this again. And that's no shade on Stokercon. It's just, he's just not interested. He's not interested any more than I'm interested in sports. So what is in here? All kinds of good things. Now this is only for my American audience. Sorry about that, but it's just there are books in here that's just too expensive to ship. I'm a starving artist after all. So let me show you what you get. Oh, and I will do an international giveaway for my 5-year anniversary sometime this month or next month. I will do that. I just have to figure out what I want to do. So if you live in the United States and you want to enter the giveaway, you know the drill. Just write giveaway in the comments below, and please be a subscriber, okay? All right, so what do you get? Well, aside from this amazing tote bag, which you can put a lot of stuff in because I already have put a lot of stuff in mine. Here's a t-shirt. Now this is a size large because this was Joe's. He didn't wear it. No sweat stains, I swear. But nice, huh? So you can pretend that you were at Stokercon. There are lots of little like cards and bookmarks in here. And like fun little trinkets. So I won't go over all of this, but here is a kid's book, T is for Torture. So here's a book by Eric LaRocca, Everything the Darkness Eats. I have no idea what that is, but that looks intriguing. I have a copy of all of this stuff, so I'm going to try to read everything that I got sometime this year. And this is a book about Stokercon, like the history of Stokercon. I saw some people reading this at the convention. I was too busy to even crack it open, but it looks like a really nice book. Here's a novel called Night's Edge by Liz Caron. And to make it an even more incredible giveaway prize, because it is my 5-year anniversary, I want to make it special, I added some stuff. So this is a box from the London Seance Society. It's a book by Sarah Penner. I have not read it, and I don't have the book, but this is really cool. It's a candle, a scarf, and a pen inside there, which is cool. So that goes in the bag. I have a couple things from my creepy crates that I'm including in here because I have so much stuff. These are 3 masks. I forget what movie this is from, but I'm throwing those in there. Kind of fun. You can hang them on your wall. You can actually cut them out and use them as masks. And what else? Oh. And I'm also throwing in 2 of my own books that I'll try to remember to sign. I will personalize it for whomever wins. So hopefully you don't already have these. And if you win and you do have these, I'll give you different books because I have, tons of my own books. This is my book of poetry, Remembering the Dead, which I was very surprised and thrilled to when I was talking to one of the other vendors at Stokercon. One of the gals, she said she had this, which I thought was really cool. And it's very neglected. And then my first novel, Unmasked, signed and personalized. Okay, so that's a lot of stuff. Plus the tote to haul all your horror books around. This is a prize package worth at least the price of admission. Don't forget the t-shirt. So write giveaway in the comments below if you want to enter. US only. Please be a subscriber. That's all I ask. And I will choose it sometime next week. Moving on to my Stokercon tote bag is filled with books. Some that I already mentioned. And these are books that I picked up from other people that I met at Stokercon. Oh, I wanted to mention, I did meet a few people from booktube, like Cool Ghoul, who was one of the writers for Lurking in the Dark, the last HorrorTube anthology. I didn't recognize him because he wears a mask in his video, and he's a very handsome young man. So we had a really nice chat. I didn't get a picture with him. And there were other people from the biz that I chatted with, like Ellen Datlow, who is the lady, and she won I think it was a Lifetime Achievement Award, the lady who puts together the best horror of the year. So we chatted, and I met Brian Keene, which was very exciting. I gave him one of my zines, and I pretty much just handed out a lot of zines. And I sold some too. But at the last day, I thought, well, I'll just go up and chat with people and give them a zine and buy a book and, get to know people. I'm trying to put myself out there a little more. And I think that overall, that was successful in that, I didn't make money at Stokercon, but I certainly had fun, and I met a lot of wonderful people. So it was worth it for that. And I went to some really cool panels. I didn't get to do enough of that, but the ones I went to were really good. Anyway, so here are some books that I got at Stokercon. Because I'm trying to read more current fiction. My goal, and I think I can do this, my goal is to read one of these a month. One of these a month. I haven't counted them, but I think I can probably do that. So here we go. And if you know of any of these books or any of these writers, let me know in the comments below, because I had heard of some of these people, actually. Or I'd heard of their work, but I haven't read that much because I haven't read that much new fiction, and I'm trying to fix that. So this book is called Hell, Delaware. One Town's History of Horrific Happenings by Kenneth W. Kane. And I'm just going to stack them as I go. This one's called Cutter's Deep by Ronald McGilwray. And if any of you writers who I met are watching my channel, hopefully, because I try to advertise my channel, my work, the zine, this kind of stuff, let me know in the comments below. These all look cool, and I really want to start. Oh, this one looked cool. Horror film poems. I really loved that at Stokercon, poetry was well represented in the awards and in the dealer room and the books. That horror poetry is its very strong genre. And speaking of poetry, I'll talk about that in a little bit. But this is called Horror Film Poems by Christopher Paul and Joel Amat Guel. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, but that looks like fun. And I think I can definitely manage to get one of these read a year. This is called Bride of the Tornado by James Kennedy. I barely remember buying these. I just went into like a frenzy. And what I did was I spent basically the money that I earned. I either traded or bought someone's book. So that was, I thought it was well worth it. This one is a series. This is called Split Scream. Carson Winter and Scott J. Moses. I remember talking to these guys. This is about like film horror, which is its own genre. And we have some circus horror, which, and I was talking to the author here, Ben Farthing. This is called I Found a Circus Tent in the Woods Behind My House. Little short novella. I might start with that one because I'm currently editing my circus horror book, Carney, and that should be out at the end of the summer. I'm getting excited about this. Here's one called Bitter Apples by edited by Eric Raglan. I don't know if these are poems or short stories, I think. Bitter Apples. Oh, this is about, I remember this man. This is about like academic horror written by former teachers or something. So that sounds interesting. And then we have Hell Hath No Sorrow, Like a Woman Haunted, R.J. Joseph. I talked to some of the authors at that table. It was like Black women writers. So that was cool to see. And this one is A Razor Blade in the Fun-Sized Candy. That's a really funny title. A horror comedy anthology edited by Paul Lubaszewski. And I'm sure I butchered that name, but I couldn't resist that. What else? There's more. Collage Macabre, an exhibition of art horror. Introduction by Gemma Amor. And this has like art. Oh, and she included little stickers and stuff in here. So this is about art horror. I'm loving all of these subgenres like cinema horror, art horror. I saw anarchist horror, all kinds of stuff. This is a novel. Oh, I remember this guy was one of my neighbors in the dealer room. The Triangle Forest by Edward J. Flora. And every one of these people were really, really nice. I was a little shy at first, but I forced myself to get over that. And this is called In the Blood, A Tale of the Galactic Nexia. And I feel like this might be a bit of a fantasy, by Larry Ikovich. And this one is Howls from Hell, a horror anthology, forward by Grady Hendrix. I'm guessing this is a werewolf anthology. Okay, so I have plenty of new stuff to read, plus my own cute t-shirt. And I'll be wearing that when I do my walks and stuff. I don't usually wear t-shirts in my daily life because I'm weird that way. So let's move on to what I read recently. And it is a weird kind of mix. Oh, here's this really beautiful candle bookmark that Lydia got one for me and for Alex, and it's really, really great. So thank you, Lydia. If you're watching, I'm going to start reading and using that bookmark. Okay, so this is what I read in, I guess, the month of June. Yeah, so far. Maybe a little bit of May. Anyway, I have Matt Wall's latest poetry chapbook. This one's called Bloodshed Review. And he sent me a copy, and I ripped right through this. I really enjoyed it. And Matt has been tearing it up on YouTube with daily videos and lives and putting out a lot of poetry and short stories. So I'll list Matt below. I'm sure you know Matt, but check him out anyway. He's really doing a lot of cool stuff. And then I read this book, the latest effort by our friend Cameron Rubik, and this is Frankie Graves Part 1. He sent me the digital of Part 2, so I have to dig into Part 2, but I really love this. He might be sending me a paperback too. Anyway, they come together to form one image. Like this is a drive-in movie screen, so that's pretty cool. But yes, I really enjoyed this. I'm going to have a review in the newest Bookworms, which should be coming out next week. Okay, my phone cut out. I think I'm running out of memory. I deleted some stuff, so hopefully this will continue to the end, or else I'll have to, I don't know, do 2 parts. Anyway, I'll quickly go over what else I've been reading. I did a little deep dive into some alternative history, which I like to read sometimes. I'm still reading my History of the World book. I'm only reading that on Sundays, so it's kind of my routine is I'll read a couple chapters every Sunday. About a third of the way through. It's like a 1,000-page book. So yeah, it's a commitment. And the type is really small because it's the history of the world. I mean, what do you expect? It's been a really good experience reading that, though. I'm trying to retain what I'm reading because it's great. But anyway, this is not real history. This is kind of alternative history. I was reading, after seeing the, oh my gosh, what is the Apocalypse? I'll write it here, the Netflix show about the ancient worlds, the Graham Hancock series. I really love that. Almost as much as I love Ancient Aliens. So I read, I'm reading, I should say, Fingerprints of the Gods. I'm about halfway through. It's very good, but it's a bit of a, not a slog. It's actually really interesting. It's just, it's involved. So I also read a couple books just off my shelf, just for fun. This is called The Nephilim and the Pyramid of the Apocalypse. I don't know if it's Nephilim or Nephilim. I've heard it both ways, but there you go. This was more of a conspiracy theory, which basically boils down to the pyramids were built by Satan. Not sure I believe that. In fact, I really don't believe that. But it was interesting. It had a lot of biblical references. So this gave me an opportunity to bone up on some of my Bible studies, of which I am very lacking. This was another weird one that I pulled off my shelf. This is a sort of a self-help book mixed with an occult book and ancient history. This is called The Psychic Power of Pyramids by Bill Schull and Ed Petit. And just on the back, it says, you can make your skin look younger. Of course, that immediately drew my attention. Enhance the effects of meditation, help you to sleep less time and feel more rested, transport you to altered states of consciousness without drugs, all kinds of promises. And all you have to do is build a pyramid in your backyard and spend some time in it every day. And they even give you plans, like how to do it. Like there are some diagrams and plans to create your own pyramid. And if you can't build a big one, you can build small ones, and you can put, like, one suggestion, this was really wacky, you put tin foil in the pyramid and leave it there for, I don't know, a few hours, and then put it on your head. It's that kind of stuff. But I had fun with this, and Batilda really enjoyed it. In fact, she's starting to build a pyramid in our backyard as we speak. So I will report on that later. And the last of these kind of wacky books I've been reading is called The Crystal Skull by Richard Garvin. What unknown hand carved it 12,000 years ago? Does it really have the power of life and death? In 1927, while searching for the lost civilization of Atlantis, so I'm also been like really getting into Atlantis lately, so I'm reading some stuff about that. Archaeologists discovered the ruins of a Mayan city, the most extraordinary and perhaps the oldest object ever fashioned by the hand of man. So it's this crystal skull, and it gets into the whole thing about it. They examine it, the story behind the skull and who found it. I probably doubt its authenticity, and I think it's pretty much been proved to be a hoax, but I found the story intriguing nonetheless, and it kind of dovetailed in with my Graham Hancock stuff with the lost city of Atlantis and how old some of these civilizations probably are, and how much more we don't know about them, and how many more there are, at least in Central America, South America, that are hidden beneath acres of jungle and dirt. So I love this kind of stuff. So I really enjoyed it. Okay, so moving on. I did a little bit of a haul at my favorite, before I left for my trip, at my favorite antique shop. And let's see what I got. So this is fun, just mostly comics and a fun game. So this is Creep Over, Truth or Dare. I know Elizabeth just did some videos about this. Every time I see one of these, I think of her. And she has a really good video up about religious horror. And I thought I left a long comment, but I went back and looked and it wasn't there. I don't know what happened to my comment, but Elizabeth, I really appreciated that video. I love religious horror, and I thought your video was great. And you did mention, I think in that video, Creep Over, or maybe it was a different video, but I thought about you when I found this. Speaking of religious horror, I did watch the Pope's Exorcist with Russell Crowe. I'll watch anything with Russell Crowe. Oh, Be Still My Heart. Gladiator was, my crush come true. But this movie's pretty good. I don't want to completely recommend it because some people might not like it. I really enjoyed it. I probably will do very soon a video about religious horror because I got inspired by Elizabeth's video. So here are the comics that I got from my haul. This is The Occult Files of Dr. Spectre. And I remember this ad, and I had that bike. Here's another Dr. Spectre. Oh, these are great. These are DC All-Star Western comics. So this is a whole series. I think it's missing, sorry for the noise. I think it might be missing one in this series, but Western horror is a big thing. I know that several booktubers were doing June on the Range. I want to get into, gosh, it's so much I want to read, but I want to get into Western horror. I loved Westerns when I was a kid. Alias Smith and Jones was one of my favorite television shows. Talk about crushes. And, of course, The Big Valley. Nick was my favorite with his black leather vest. All right. Kind of shows my taste at the time. Okay. So I got all these for really cheap, too. I was happy to see. This one is a Dynamite Teen Halloween Special Army of Darkness. I really don't know much about this. I just grabbed the ones that looked interesting. Oh, this is fun. Hammer Glamour, Captain Cronus Vampire Hunter with vintage Hammer Glamour Girl. There are 3 of these. Tons of fun. I tell you, I have gotten quite a comic collection at this point. This is, I don't want to open this up. This is a Vincent Price War Gods of the Deep. Looks like a 1960s comic. So I was thrilled to find this one. This is Mr. Monster's High Octane Horror 3D with 3D glasses that come with it. I mean, how fun is that? And this is another High Octane Mr. Monster's Horror. Some of these are vintage. These look vintage. Some of these are reissues. And I love them all. This is another Mr. Monsters super science. You know, I think I might just spend the rest of the day reading comics because it's kind of chilly outside for the first day of summer, or the second day of summer, rather. Okay, and then I could not resist this. I found this in the same little booth at the antiques place. I've given this guy who runs this booth a lot of sales, just letting you know, in case he's out there. I have a bit of a collection of horror games. So I have comics and I have horror games, especially ones from when I was a kid, but I've never seen this one before. So let me know in the comments if you know this one because it's crazy. This is Voodoo Doll Game for boys and girls. Never in my life have I seen this, although I went on eBay and some of them are selling for a lot. It's missing the bottom of the box, and I haven't played it yet. But how it works is you put these pins, and all the pins seem to be there, although there's like a metal pin that you're supposed to put in there first, and some of those are missing, but you put the pins in the voodoo doll, and then when it hits, I guess, a certain point, when it hits one of the metal pins, okay, so I just released it. But anyway, it's kind of like Operation, remember Operation? When you hit I'm not really sure what the object of the game is. I have to read the instructions. But anyway, when you hit the thing with the pin, the little devil comes out of the shed. It's so crazy. So the last thing, before I do my little Stokercon reel, is I got a lovely package from my friend Patrick again. And this is a little bit delayed because of I've been out of town. So I have my letter opener. So let's see what this is. Okay, so this is another lovely card. Oh, little watermelon sticker. Makes me think of summer. Ooh, beautiful stationery. And as always, lovely handwriting and a little rainbow here and here. This is dated June 6th, so I was out of town and it got these packages always get lost here, but it got here. So thank you, Patrick. Okay, so dear Regina, in honor of Pride Month, I thought I'd send you one of my favorite queer vampires, Miriam Blaylock. While I prefer the film version of The Hunger, I love this too. To the books are beautifully written and interesting in their own right. I assure you that they're worth your time. So enjoy, sit back, have a nice glass of wine, and surrender to the seductive power of The Hunger. Happy Pride, sincerely, Patrick. Thank you so much, Patrick. I hope you're having a lovely Pride Month as well. All right, so here's the first one. And I have read this one, and I do have it, but this is a nice version of it. Thank you. And I think these are follow-up books. We have The Last Vampire and Lilith's Dream. So I will definitely read these. Absolutely. And I like Whitley Strieber's work. Okay, he also gave me something else, which, oh my gosh. Regina, I recall your reading of the Jacqueline Suzanne's novels of your channel and thought the fun book about the making of the queer camp classic that was based on her debut novel and bestseller would be a fun addition to your library. Oh my God, you have no idea. Dolls, Dolls, Dolls. And I have not read this, but I've heard of this book. Deep Inside Valley of the Dolls, the most beloved bad book and movie of all time by Stephen Rebello, author of Alfred Hitchcock and The Making of Psycho. Well, I would disagree that it is a bad book and a bad movie. It's genius. Absolutely. In the immortal words of Andy Warhol, when he was talking about the Carolyn Keene paintings with the enormous eyes in the 60s that people love to say was like trash art, he said it can't be bad because so many people love it. I feel the same way about Valley of the Dolls. Thanks again, Patrick, for always being so thoughtful. And I will be sending you something very soon. I'll try to make it a surprise, but yeah, I'll send you something in return. So I promised a little reel about my Stokercon adventure, so let's just cut to that right now. So as you can see, it was a lot of fun. And of course, the highlight was seeing my friends for real. It was really lovely and really special. And it made me feel just more part of this community than I already do after 5 years. So let me know in the comments below if you want to enter the giveaway, or if you have any comments about anything I mentioned today. I would love to hear your thoughts. So that's all I have for today. Thanks for stopping by my haunted library, and I'll see you soon. Bye!